incident report provided for by the police, and of course they recorded 6 inquests into possible suicides over the weekend. Beginning with Ohangwena, on Friday, the 21st of January 2022, at 18:26 hours at Oipapakane village, it is alleged that Maria Kashilulu, aged 28, a Namibian woman, was running inside a house during the rain and got struck by lightning. She fell on the ground and died instantly on the spot. Her body was certified dead by the doctor at Ngela State Hospital. The next of kin have been informed. In Vanaheda, on Friday, the 21st of January 2022, at about 18:30 hours at Horiahab Dam in Vanaheda, the body of Samuel Eliasa, also known as Boiki, aged 21, a Namibian man, was found floating by a passerby in Horiahab Dam. According to the family members, the now deceased person was missing since Thursday, the 20th of January 2022. The next of kin have been informed and they were on the scene. Police investigations into the incident also is ongoing. We take a look at Okamata Party, an inquest there on Friday between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock at Ochodonguki in Okamata Party. It is alleged that Judah Kauyeo, a Namibian man aged 53, shot himself on the chest inside his farmhouse and died on the spot. It is further alleged that the now deceased person came at the crow and returned to his home before a gunshot was heard. No suicide note was found. The scene was attended to by the police and the body was taken to Ochibarongo. The next of kin were informed. Police investigations continue. Between Friday, the 21st of January 2022, 2300 hours, and Saturday, the 22nd of January 2022, 6 o'clock at Bragvata Abattoir, it is alleged that George Kangumine, aged 47, an adult person, committed suicide by hanging himself with a wire from the tree. His body was discovered by his colleagues at around 10 o'clock. The next of kin have been informed. No foul play is being suspected and police investigations continue. In Washakati, on Saturday, the 22nd of January 2022, at around 13:30 hours at Onindongo village, it is alleged that an unknown man, around 35 years of age, hanged himself. He was wearing a long blue jean, a white t-shirt, a blue overall jacket, black belt, and black Puma shoes. No identification document was found or cell phone. Neither a suicide note was found as well. The next of kin are unknown, and therefore the police have not informed anyone. Now we take a look at cases of attempted murder in Namtsub on Saturday at around 4 o'clock at Namtsub location in Tsumeb. 2 Namibian men, aged 32 and 25, were arrested after they allegedly stabbed a 32-year-old Namibian man, a police officer, several times all over his head, and as a result, the officer sustained serious injuries. He is currently admitted at Tsumeb Hospital in a stable condition, according to the police, whose investigations are also ongoing. A case of attempted murder has also been opened. Also in Namtsub, a case of murder has been opened. On Saturday, at around 5 o'clock in Namtsub location in Tsumeb, it is alleged that Harold Nawatiseb, aged 45, a Namibian man, was found lying with a stabbed wound on his right side of his stomach. He was taken to Tsumeb Hospital, but upon arrival, he was declared dead by the doctor. The suspect in this particular case is currently unknown, and therefore no one has been arrested. The next of kin of the deceased person have been informed, and police investigations also continue. In Mundesa, on Friday, at about 23:30 hours, in Tolinawa suburb, Colin Peters, a 45-year-old, had a heated argument with the taxi driver who brought him home. The victim, according to the police, was assaulted with an unknown object while waiting for his daughter to bring him the taxi money. Shortly after he paid the taxi fare, the taxi driver gave him his change but got in his vehicle and drove with an unidentified object which he used to assault the victim on the head, leaving him unconscious. The victim was rushed to Cottage Private Hospital in a serious condition by his family members, from where he was transferred to the Roman Catholic Hospital in Windhoek in the morning. According to the nurses, the victim suffered a skull fracture. Police investigations are also ongoing and the tracing of the suspect is also ongoing. We take a look at culpable homicides and homicides reported over the weekend, beginning with Windhoek. On Friday, the 21st of January 2022, at about 10:20 hours on B1 Road, plus or minus 20 kilometers from Windhoek towards Rehoboth, it is alleged that Pombili Kamanya Bukes, a Namibian man, fell from a moving white Toyota pickup vehicle. It is further alleged that the deceased person was sitting at the back of the vehicle when a door-shaped wood was blown by the wind, and the now deceased person attempted to hold it back into the vehicle, but in the process, he fell out of the vehicle alongside the wood whilst the car was in motion. He was declared dead on the scene. The next of kin, his mother, has been informed, and police investigations are also ongoing. In Swakopmund, on Friday, the 21st of January 2022, at around 20:40 hours on B2 Road, plus or minus 1 kilometer from Swakopmund roadblock towards Swakopmund, it is alleged that an unknown young man, dark in complexion, was walking towards Mondesa from the roadblock when he was bumped by a silver Polo motor vehicle which was traveling along the B2 road from Arandis direction from the roadblock area towards Swakopmund. The victim was declared dead at the scene by medical personnel. The driver, who was alone in the vehicle, did not sustain any injuries, only damages to the vehicle. The now deceased person's body was taken to Swakopmund State Hospital for death certification. The next of kin are yet to be informed, and police investigations continue. In Ondobe, on Saturday, at about 16:40 hours in Ohenkobe village, it is alleged that a white Toyota Hilux 2.7 pickup bearing a Nana number plate overturned in a cave when the driver, identified as 66-year-old Shekudule Johannes, lost control of the vehicle and it overturned. The victim was traveling from west to east along the Ondobe-Enana main road and was alone in the vehicle. He was thrown out and died on the spot. The next of kin have been informed. In Namtsub as well, on Friday, around 4 o'clock, it is alleged that an unknown driver bumped a 20-year-old Namibian man, and as a result, the victim sustained serious injuries. He was taken to Tsumeb Hospital and later transferred to Oshakati Hospital in critical condition. The suspect has not been arrested as yet, and police investigations are also ongoing. On Saturday, the 22nd of January 2022, at an unknown time on Endola, Enuno Road in Oshitambe village, the lifeless body of Erastus Shimoshili Hamalwa, aged 25, a Namibian man, was found lying in the road by a motorist who was driving on the same road. It is suspected that the now deceased person was bumped by a vehicle and the driver drove away or failed to stop the vehicle after the incident. The body of the now deceased person has been kept at the mortuary at Engela Hospital. The next of kin have been informed according to the police, and investigations are also ongoing. Now we take a look at cases of rape, beginning with Ondangwa. On Saturday, at about 1:20 hours at Naokale Flats, Ondangwa, it is alleged that suspects forcefully opened the door of a house, gained entry, and both suspects had sexual intercourse with a 26-year-old Namibian woman without her consent. The victim was alone in the house when she was threatened with a knife and got raped. The suspects also stole a flat-screen television, which was also in the sitting room, valued at 3,200 Namibian dollars. However, the TV set was recovered. A 28-year-old Namibian man was arrested and charged and will now appear before the Ondangwa Magistrates Court today on Monday, the 24th of January 2022, while the second suspect is currently at large. A police investigation is also underway. Between December 2020 and March 2021, along the Namib Street in Naraview, it is alleged that a man currently being treated by the police as the suspect invited a 24-year-old Namibian woman who was mentally incapacitated to his place on numerous occasions and continuously raped her until she fell pregnant. In the process, there is no relationship between the suspect and the victim, according to the police. The victim also gave birth in December 2021. The suspect is currently unknown and has not yet been arrested. Police investigations are continuing in this case. In Okongo, since March 2021 at Okongo village, it is alleged that a 25-year-old Namibian man who is being currently treated by the police as the suspect raped a 14-year-old Namibian girl who was 13 years of age by the time and thus could not give any consent. As a result, the victim fell pregnant and is currently having a 2-month-old baby with the suspect. The suspect has been arrested and will make his first court appearance today on Monday, the 24th of January 2022. That is what I'm getting as far as the police crime and incident report is concerned. You continue to listen to Eagle FM.
I choose better conversations. I choose uninterrupted music. I choose smoother shopping. Is choosing better internet not possible due to your contract? Switch to Paratus and we will take care of your contract until it expires. For more information, visit paratus.africa/NA. T's and C's apply. Hello Namibia, this is Shea Ulenga and you are listening to Eagle FM.
My name is Nafimani Halwendo, Senior Legal Advisor at the Ministry of Defense, and I implore you to listen to Eagle FM.
You are listening to the Early Morning Scoop, and thank you so much for coming through. The Office of the President has described the verdict given in the inquest into the killing of the Nchinto brothers by BDF soldiers delivered in Kasane, Botswana on Thursday last week in the morning as sad. And while the Namibian Lives Matter movement is now bracing to take this matter straight to the United Nations, my colleague Priscilla Mukokobi was on Friday in the streets to try to gauge the feelings of the people. Take a listen.
It was not fair because those people, they were just fishers. They were busy fishing and those people came. And the fact remains, Tswana people always come to Namibians. And when they come to them, if they find them fishing, they'll always ask like, we want to buy fish. And after buying fish, or some they can buy, yes, it's true, but some they are pretending. And once you reach there, they can call you to go the other side. Once you reach there, another story comes. So for me, it's very sad if those Tswana people, they win the case. It was not necessary for them to win the case.
All right, what do you think the Namibian government should do?
Okay, the fact remains our president should look upon this situation. Because the fact remains, as Subias, because those were Subia, they are nearby Botswana. We share the border. Namibian and Botswanans, we share one border. So the fact remains, we can go to Botswanas and buy things. Botswanas, people can also come in Namibia and buy stuffs. So they should look upon that situation.
No, ime njemere first malambo. Ni zwa kuiwema, deni kunizwa, deni hanu eka nazo ante makande, kwa maana ni wakwetu aba kuzinda kwa mparira. Kuno chakuya changu ni wana kuti government yetu isona kubwana kuti ilole hande zindaba siba panga hali yakuri soka tuma families katulizi wa hande kwa maana ni wakwetu mbo twafuira kwezi zibaka. Deni yakuri Luiz omako panelo so ndine kwana kutino vena busana bana kulutanga no kana threaten bantu kunupisa da Namibia twale government yetu kantira hoizo zintu yezero la che hinzira kana government yetu kaizuire butuku kama na nenda wezi panga hala kwa kwetu twale government yetu hinda chimu chifaka chimu Zambezi region hivi kachimwe hima mazimo.
Was the judgment fair or not?
No, the judgment is not fair. It's not good. Because we are still complaining about the judgment that the judge about that people. Otherwise, they must get the fine also. Because we are still very painful. Concerned about our families. We lost a lot of families.
Okay. What do you think the Namibian government should do?
No, the government, it must support us. Or they can put the defense aside to make a security to the people nearby the river, that the NGF peoples, they cannot come and attack them.
Good day, my name is Priscilla Mukokovi. I'm reporting from Zambezi region and I'm with Bonisoko Mamila, one of the activists in the region. So I'll be interviewing him regarding the killing of the Judah brothers. So we have heard about the judgment. Mila, what are your views on this?
Yeah, this is Bonisoko Mamila, one of the activists in this region. Well, look, we have to take this matter, seriously. Why? Because it was during, campaigns or elections. It was national and regional elections by the time when our fellow brothers were gunned down. You know, that was very much brutal. And you look at it, you know, not with tinted glasses, but you just have to look at it, you know, without fear or favor. Look, our people were captured and they were taken across the border, which is across the Chove River, and they were shot there. The funny part is that when investigations came in, we from Namibian side, our forensic investigators were denied access into how do you call it? Is autopsy post-mortem. You know, this thing that doctors do to conduct the cause of death. So our forensic team was denied access. Already, that should raise an alarm. The second thing is that by the time that we had to bury our brothers, there is another second postmortem which was done on the Namibian side. So, you know, there's no way you can tell me that you can shoot someone 4 or 5 times, you know, 3 bullets in the head, and you are telling them that this person was a poacher at a close range. Because, you know, we also have medical experts that also conducted these postmortems. So I will push the blame on ourselves, whereby if you take a very good example with the Botswana government, they have deployed their soldiers, which you call BDF. They have deployed the defense force, you know, into anti-poaching units and national parks to guard their animals, whereby we have to create uncertain anti-poaching units, whereby you now have to say that we have to look for money to fund this, you know, these operations. And while we have our soldiers sitting and sleeping down in all these bases. So I would blame ourselves. I think we as a nation have to stand up and say, hey, look, government, please let us try to come up with a way to save money and deploy our soldiers alongside this river where these conflicts are happening. It's actually the Chove, it's the Linyanti, it's the Kapani, it's the river at Sangwali, it's the people of the Bambushu tribe, the side of Lizauli, it's the people in Kavango East. You know, our people are being affected. We can't even move freely because we are being tortured and all that. So, yeah, we have to look at it from a broader perspective view with a narrative that suggests to say we have to protect our people at all times.
All right. Was the judgment fair or not?
Well, to be honest with you, I am not happy with the issue that I'm actually a Pan-Africanist. You know, I believe in a borderless Africa. I believe in Ubuntu. I believe in you know black empowerment. So why would another black man shoot another black man over fish? They claim it's ivory, but that's false. That's false. False alarm. False evidence. But look, the Botswana government is the referee. It's the referee at the same time. It's the player. You know. So the referee is their court. The players are the defense soldiers. So the judgment was never fair enough. I think if we had money as a nation, we'll take this matter into we'll consider this matter into, you know, like maybe taking it to the next level of maybe involving these other African Union, you know, bodies or something like that, or SADC or something like that, for us to, you know, get a clear, you know, judgment or clear justice, you know. So even when you look at the time frame on how this matter was handled, it's actually ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not happy, and it was not a fair judgment because, I mean, it's foolish. It's a foolish judgment. I'm sorry but it's a foolish judgment. Yeah.
What do you think the Namibian government should do?
Yeah, like I said, the government should deploy soldiers. You know, these army guys that we have here, the army soldiers, the comrades in bases, they should be deployed alongside the river. Not only alongside the river, they should also be deployed into these national parks that we have. Because for you to create an anti-poaching whatever unit, I know it's creating employment, but where's the money going to come from? People are sleeping under bridges. As I'm talking to you right now, we don't have water in Katima and there's no money. So instead of creating these things, we should save the money and deploy the guys who are just eating free meals in all these, bases that we have. Like here in the Zambezi, we have is it previously they used to call it Mampacha. Now I think they call it is Matongo, Grill Matongo. I don't know, yeah, but I'll follow it up. Yeah, so the guys should be deployed, yeah.
Hello, my name is Sarah Shamada and I am from Naskim. You are tuned into Eagle FM.
You continue to listen to the early morning scoop right here on Eagle FM, 21 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. Good morning and thank you so much for coming through. You can also link in via Facebook and be part and parcel of our live stream, as well as our YouTube channel. And of course, our channel and our Facebook page is Eagle FM Namibia. My name is Kelvin. I'm with you here until 7 o'clock. Good morning and thank you so much for coming through. Today, the 24th of January 2022, marks the International Day of Education. And of course, we take a look at what this is. The International Day of Education 2022. In 2018, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution proclaiming January the 24th, which is today, as International Day of Education to mark the importance of education in peace and development. On this International Day of Education, we take a look at the history, the significance, and the objective. The adoption of International Day of Education, co-authored by Nigeria and other 58 member states, exemplified the steadfast political will to reinforce transformative actions for equitable, inclusive, and quality education for all. The day is also an opportunity to promote the role of education amongst all. One of the most enormous challenges the United Nations is to face is poverty. In many third world nations, the ratio of poverty is almost equal to the ratio of illiteracy. The UN is working towards eradicating poverty, but simultaneously focusing on creating opportunities to reduce its effects through education, as it is one of the salient powers to do so. Now, the objective of the International Day of Education 2022, which is being celebrated today, to reassure commitments and follow up on measures taken in order to protect education through increased inclusion and reduced dropouts right across the world. To celebrate steps initiated by educators, governments, organizations from grassroots to global efforts. This includes partnerships and associations demonstrating the possibility to refurnish education to the principles of equity and relevance. To highlight best law practices and equitable finance policies for education that effectively target the most disadvantaged section, they appear at two featured on UNESCO's Global Education Monitoring Report website. Now, also to give voice to the pandemic generation to help them express their aspirations and concerns in the face of a tomorrow decided by an economic recession and climate change. 23 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock, the time right here on the station. Now, the Executive Director of the Education Ministry, Sanet Steenkamp, has had something to say about the International Day of Education as Namibia joins the rest of the world in celebrating this auspicious event, and it comes right at a time when the Namibian child and the learner is subjected to the depredations of the COVID-19. 2021 itself saw so much of disruptions, especially when it comes to school activities of the students. So what exactly does International Day of Education mean today, especially for Namibia? Our conversation, or rather, the presentation made by the ED of the Education Ministry, Sanet Steenkamp. Take a listen.
Today, the 24th of January 2022, marks the 4th International Day of Education, and it is also the day where we in Namibia focus and reflect on an education system that we want to be much more just, sustainable, and an education system where we know and we recognize that every child matters. This theme for this International Day of Education is changing course, transforming education. And we know that right across the world, there are deliberate attempts to mobilize political will to address the gaping inequalities that the world have seen, especially after we were hit by COVID also. It has been there before, it is still there. And today we just want to recognize that despite the fact that there are still so many challenges, we know that the huge inequalities that our children face, the digital technology that exclude many of our children. We also know that many more children require learning support, better infrastructure, but as a country we've committed to 23.8% of our national budget to education. And while we acknowledge that most of that money goes to personnel expenditures, we are fully cognizant that as a country with a mandate of the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture to train and to ensure that every child has access to quality education and inclusive education, we reaffirm once more that our teachers are important to us. We value them deeply. Teachers are at the heart of education recovery, and we call today on every teacher to turn to another teacher, appreciating each other, appreciating ourselves, and the role and the functions that we have in ensuring that every child learn, that every child should learn, that every child is at the center of what we do. And we also acknowledge the hard work of all our staff members in the regions, at head offices, in our circuits, in our schools. We value the collaboration that we have with parents and the commitment of our friends of education, our development partners, our school boards and educators. Thank you sincerely. May we take some time out today to celebrate a retired teacher, to celebrate a new teacher at the school, to celebrate newly enrolled children at the school, and just to celebrate that we are in a profession where we not just passionately talk about what needs to be done, but where we actually, with deliberate action and renewed enthusiasm, work on transforming lives and the education recovery.
That is the Executive Director of the Education Ministry, Sanet Steenkamp, speaking on account of the celebration that is ongoing now, beginning today, International Day of Education 2022. What is the theme? The theme of International Education Day, proclaimed by UNESCO, the United Nations, for 2022 is changing course, transforming education. The purpose of this year's theme is to welcome and fortify the revival of education right across the world. And while the vitality of education is a given, the year's theme emphasizes the recovery of education to its usual form. In addition to this, it also stresses the need to redress the importance of education for the large benefit of many generations to come. And that's what we're getting as far as that is concerned. Exactly 28 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock, you continue to listen to the early morning scoop, and thank you so much for coming through. My name is Kelvin. Once again, you can always join our live stream on Facebook as well as our YouTube channel. It is Eagle FM Namibia all the way. The early morning scoop here until 7 o'clock. We take a look at what is playing out right here in Namibia. And now we take a look at what is playing out at the courts. It's the return of the big six, rather the fish rod six, back to court. And of course, this time around, it's a bail application resumption here. The hearing of a bail application by 6 of the men charged in the fish rod fraud and corruption case is set to start in the Windhoek High Court today, exactly at 10 o'clock. And Judge Shafi Mana Witele will hear the application according to the information that we're getting right here. And at the same time, the 6 are testifying in support of requesting to be granted bail after nearly 2 years in jail. I'll just allow for a commercial break, then we continue with this story right here on the station.
limonene mundo ilo mungeshefawe eakulo lo internet talimbiri palele nolishi okulinekerwa lo parates paife otenje eakulo lo pamapatafano wamidingoroko ngashi ondangwa ongwediva no shakati nokukupa owa we data osho eakulo lo network la shiako tereda po parates.africa/ma de tolitalele koma yakuro de tolitalele koma mudi oma yakuro avo havayanje ile usaina penavo pa online.
All right, they are called the Big Six in the fish rot corruption trial, and they are also called the Six Big Fish. And of course, they are returning to court today at 10 o'clock before Judge Shafimana Uitele, and it's a bail application resumption here. The 6 applicants, together with former Minister of Fisheries Bernard Isau, his son-in-law Thompson Atikalipi, Ricardo Gustavo, face 42 charges, including counts of fraud, bribery, as well as corruption, racketeering, and money laundering. And the hearing will resume with the cross-examination of fish rot accused Philippus Mwapopi, who last time took the witness stand. That was last year. Before the matter was postponed, Mwapopi wrapped up his evidence in chief with his lawyer Milton Engelbrecht. According to Itale, the hearing is expected to run from the 24th of January 2022, which is today, until the 4th of February 2022, that is next month. Giving his testimony during the bail hearing last year, Mwapopi argued that he had not been allowed to defend himself. He stressed that the state has a chance to mobilize resources to prove their case, but he has been limited due to the nature of his residence. Mwapopi also revealed to the court that he is a current PhD student and being in custody limits him of resources for his studies. A business agreement between former Fishco Chief Executive Officer Mike Ngipunya and Mwapopi's company Wanakadu Investment CC was presented before the court in November 2021 as well. However, Mwapopi denied entering into a business agreement with Ngipunya. The Windhoek City Police officer also said he did not sign the agreement, nor has he any knowledge of it. According to him, Wanakadu Investment supplied dried fish products to Fishco for a drought aid program to the value of $4.2 million Namibian dollars. Mwapopi has a 100% interest in Wanakadu, and he told the court he is the only member there. State Advocate Cliff Lutibezi had told the court that the dried fish was never delivered. Mwapopi also said he learned about his alleged involvement in the fish rot scandal on WhatsApp, especially on their messaging application, which is called WhatsApp itself. He offered to pay a deposit of 62,000 Namibian dollars for his bail. In his testimony, Mr. Mike Ngipunya, who took the witness stand first, denied having a 50% stake with Wanakadu Investment CC. Wanakadu Investment CC was selling dried fish to Fishco for $4.2 million Namibian dollars. Ngipunya also spoke about 44 million Namibian dollars that was paid to the Swapo Party through Sisa Namanje and CO Incorporated and the lawyer Marinde Clark, and that's what we're getting there, the law firm of this particular lawyer. Now, according to him, he only followed lawful instructions that came from the powers above. Ngipunya had said during his time at Fishco, the fishing quotas were increasing, but the profits did not increase at all. Ngipunya also told the court that Fishco is not accountable for the money paid to Sisa Namanje, the Clark Horn and Kotsia law firms. During the hearing, Ngipunya indicated that they said 10.3 million Namibian dollars was paid to Fine Foods Investment Trust. He also testified that there was never an agreement between Saga Seafoods. According to him, the money to Fine Foods was allegedly for dried fish. That's what he get, rather for fish feed, and that's what he getting there. Moreover, Shudi Fonya wrapped up his testimony in his bail hearing by denying he had any link to the fishing quotas that is last year. He said the payments between Lock Investment CC and Jaco Investment CC had nothing to do with the quotas. And according to him, the payments are in line with the agreement signed between the two parties. Shudifonya testified that he was inspired by his co-accused James Atikilipi, who he has known as an excellent black business person. Atikilipi hails from the same region Shudifonya comes from, and he said he had known him since 2005. And he also informed the court that Atikilipi had loaned him money to start his business. Shudifonya told the court that in 2015, when he and his co-owner Samuel Israel set up Fine Seafood CC they received equipment assistance worth 1.2 million Namibian dollars from former Fishco Chief Executive Officer Mr. Mike Ngipunya. And during his hearing, Shudifonya pleaded not guilty to fraud and money laundering charges after allegedly receiving 2.9 million from Skeleton Coast Trawling, a subsidiary of Novanam. And of course, that's what you're talking about there. These 6 big fish, as they are called in the fish rot scandal, are returning to court today at 10 o'clock. And of course, it's the resumption of their bail application there. Exactly 6:35 a.m. the time right here on the station. You continue to listen to the early morning scoop. We are here until 7 o'clock. We take a look at what is played out right now in the political space. It is a death of the former leader of the DTA, who later defected to the Swapo Party. A death that has also been observed and a happening that has seen the President of the Republic issuing a statement together with the President of the official opposition, and it's all about Mr. Kaura. Let's get right into the conversation we had with the President of the Popular Democratic Movement, who said Mr. Kaura was a walking encyclopedia, and that despite him defecting to the Swapo Party in 2017, that being quite a very damaging decision that he made for the PDM, which by that time was called the DTA. He had no sour grapes, and he said that I will commit to making sure that he has a dignified burial. Let's have a conversation. Let's take a look let's simmer down into the conversation that we had with Makender Venani on account of this particular happening.
Well, Kaura was one of the most well-read legislators of our time.
Right.
He was an academic. He played a very important role as a constitution writer, as one of the members that represented DTA in a constituent assembly. He went there then as vice president of the party. He later assumes the presidency in 1998, September 1998. He has worked in parliament on various important legislations, but most importantly, this country ought to remember him for historic, resolute, consistent approach on social welfare, especially for pensioners. Kaura, when pensioners were receiving $400 a month, he was insisting that pensioners ought to receive more than $1,000 in this country.
Right.
And it's something that he has worked on. Kaura was an ardent reader, a walking encyclopedia, a historian, a man who could narrate historical dates, historical times, historical precision of events around the world. If you ask him in what particular year did Genghis Khan cross over to India, he will tell you exactly the day, the month, the date. If you ask him about the kingdom of Monamatapa in Zimbabwe, he will tell you the succession of that kingdom. If you ask him about the Greek mythology, he would know. If you ask him about Napoleon Bonaparte, he would know. If you ask him when did Samuel Maharero get into combat, what time did he get into combat in Okanjira, how many people were casualties, he would tell you with great detail and precision. He is a political teacher to me and to many other younger people that followed him. He played a cardinal role amongst the Wairero community. I dare to say that he was the most influential Herero leader in our country.
Right.
And because of he played a very cardinal role together with Paramount Chief Ruako to navigate the question of genocide. Those of us that were their proteges and secretaries under them remember very vividly how we started the genocide discussions, the mobilization, the internal mobilization of our people in the country and in the diaspora, many missions to Botswana, South Africa. So we remember him for a lot of things. I have worked tirelessly under him twice. When he was vice president, I was secretary of information and publicity of the party, youth league leader, secretary general, two-time secretary general of the party, and he was president. I later succeeded him in a very brutal election that took a great friendship of a tutor student, of a father's son, but we maintained respectability up to the end. He remained true to me, and I remained true to him. He is a great old man to me. Respect all in good times and in bad times. We shared a lot from families. My aunt was married to his elder brother.
Right.
We have worked together, and he's somebody who dies and whom we commiserate on his passing, and who we remember vividly as our teacher, as our leader, and somebody who has worked with us. We commiserate with the people of Namibia, with the body politics of our people, the body politic of Namibia, and the people of this country, that one of the colossal historical giants of our people has passed on, and we remember him for a life well lived.
That's right. And in the statement released by the party, the statement says that you were quite shocked to learn of the demise of a man that you also described as an amiable, honorable Katuti Kaura. I just want to find out whether you were quite close towards the end of his days.
I did not catch you. What is the question? I'm traveling.
The question is, can you say that you had a close relationship towards the end of his days?
Yes, very close, to a point that I was one of the first people to hear about his demise early in the morning this morning, 1:30 to be precise. Kaura last year announced in the church that if the day that I pass, I want this young man to bury me, he must stand at my grave. So we have really worked together. We have a very close relationship. For the last 3 years back, we celebrated his wife and himself 50th wedding anniversary, and I was a guest of honor at that very important event. So Kaura is like a father to me. We have a father-son relationship, a student-teacher relationship, a friendship, a camaraderie, because we have crossed many rivers together.
That's right.
Politics aside, he somebody that I would call one of the dearest people to myself. And you would be surprised, even other political actors here, that we share also very close relationships from a personal level. So Kaura and I share that relationship, and I would carry the instruction as I was told to really bury him with honor, and I would mobilize people and use my influence to bury him in a dignified manner.
That's right. And at the same time, are you aware as to whether he was sick or he just passed on?
No, I am very alive to everything. I know that he went into hospital in December. We spoke probably a week before he was hospitalized.
Right.
I called him to commiserate because an elder brother of him passed on, and I commiserated with him and also wished him season's greetings for the year. And we spoke very briefly, and then he was supposed to go to the funeral of his elder brother. He collapses in Ocho. He goes to Bindu. I speak to his cousin, Tutupu Sirikwa, briefs me and what has happened. He's hospitalized for the number of weeks. So I've been speaking to the children nearly probably 4 times a week, just hearing a briefing on how he was doing. So I'm very alive to what has led to the process and all the conditionalities that he underwent.
That's right. You're really painting a picture of family outside politics there. But politically, we know that he moved away from the then DTA, which has now been rebranded to the PDM in 2017. How do you feel about that moment when he left with his family?
Well, the politics, there are no bad feelings in politics. He took a decision, and when you arrive at the level of myself as a leader of a party, all these things happen. Casualties of great people that you don't want to lose, you lose them because of political differences. But one thing that is me and him, political differences never changed who I was to him. Even if I succeeded him, I always treated him as former president. When he walks into a room, even when he was advisor at national events, he would walk to my table. I would always take off my hat for him, just as I do to all people that are of his age. I would stand up. There was never a day in my life, even in my presidency, that I've ever greeted him while seated on a chair. When he walks in, I will always stand up, because any person who is imbued with age before you deserves that kind of respect. So even with the political disagreements that we had, the bickering here and forth, we rose above those pettiness, and we were human beings. We were the son-father relationship. We were a student-teacher. We were a protege, a leader. We were that to each other up to the last moment. And besides the political differences that we had, of course, we were very worried because SWAPO took him to a region that is our stronghold. So we were very worried about a number of what kind of influences he would have taken people and so forth. But politically, those are political things. The political worries do not take humanity away. And there are so many Namibians, great Namibians, that you would be surprised that we would call each other or just say hello to each other as people that respect one another from a different angle of humanity as opposed to politics. And that is normal to me. With me, respect comes first. Whether you're SWAPO, whether you are PDM, whether you are NF or you are IPC, to me, any human being older than you, who could be your own father, deserves respect, and you accord that respect to him.
That's
so
right.
with Kaura, the same.
That's right. You were very close with Kardinabo despite your different political orientation and ideology, and you still maintained your relationship there with Mr. Kaura despite the political differences as well. What message do you have for Namibians who find themselves also disunited by the politics, yet we see this unity still playing up there where you are at the level of political leaders, that despite your political differences, you still find each other? What message would you want to give to your supporters from PDM, from SWAPO, LPM, and other political parties as far as unity is concerned, despite political differences?
We are Namibians, we are Africans, we are human beings of the world. First and foremost, we are born without political parties. If we maintain our traditions of respecting the elders as we are taught in the church, as we are taught in our customs and culture, to give and to bequeath one another respect. And when people reason, and the problem with the politics of our country, and especially to younger politicians that are entering in, we feel that we are not raising the argument, we are raising the insult. And we must make sure as leaders in this country to always raise the efficacy of the argument, not to raise the insult. We must refrain and eschew from insulting one another, saying things that ought not to be said by people that are respectable in a society. As Namibians, as families, as different tribes, as people of this country, we should learn to live with each other's differences, whether those differences are religious, whether they're political, whether they're economic, whether they are what. We must be able to tolerate one another. And we must learn this, that if we want to maintain a cohesive country, a nation that needs to be able to prosper, it needs each and every diverse view. So we must embody a unity in diversity. Politics is just politics, but humanity comes first. Church comes first. Customs, relationships come first. And for that, God teaches us that the young must respect the elder. Even if you disagree with somebody who's older than you, of course, now and then we throw jabs that people do not like. But it's politics. We must throw those jabs to maintain cohesion, to maintain a direction in society. But after all, respectability, humanity must be maintained. And one person that was Kaura, and one of his greatest teaching was respect. I've not seen it. I'm not saying it because he is dead. I'm very glad that I've said it in many interviews that I had one-on-one. And I said Kaura, and I had political differences. I triumphed over him. But one thing that I've learned from him that I will never take away from is that he could argue and maintain an argument in a respectable manner.
Right.
And it's something that I want younger people and younger politicians and would-be leaders in this country to learn from his teaching, that he may have a difference with President Gaingo. As a person, as a leader of opposition, it goes without saying that we are having fights on matters that he thinks I'm overly arrogant, or I think he's arrogant, or I think I want to gambit him on a political stance and this and that. But after all, he's an elder, president of the country, I'm the leader of the opposition. I must be quick in that respect, and he must also reciprocate that respect. Young or old, we must be able to maintain a conversation. How worse we are differing with one another, but the conversation must always be respectable, and to raise the argument. The merits of the argument should be raised. When we are saying this country is failing here and here, I don't need to insult somebody to say that this country is failing. I just need to put the socio-economic indicators to prove that. If he's saying the opposition is not doing enough, blah, 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 he doesn't need to insult me. He can raise the argument and say, these are what we are saying, the opposition doesn't come with facts, blah, blah, blah. The arguments must be raised. But in this country, most of the time, we are seeing political leaders raising the insult. And insult is not a way to run a cohesive society.
That's right. Honorable Venani, thank you so much. And we also send our condolences to you for this particular loss.
Thank you very much.
That's right, sir. All right, that is the leader of the official opposition, the Popular Democratic Movement, Mackenzie Venani there. The party has said the Honorable Mackenzie Venani has learnt with great shock and sadness of the demise of the amiable late Honorable Katuti Rekaura. It is with profound sympathy that he extends his condolences to Miss Vicky Kaura and the children of Honorable Kaura. The Honorable Kaura, according to the Popular Democratic Movement, served as president of then Democratic Tenal Alliance, DTA, from 1998 to 2013, and further served as the leader of the official opposition from 2000 to 2005. He was also a member of Namibia's Constituent Assembly and served as a member of the National Assembly from 1990 to 2015, thus bringing a legislative career spanning over 2.5 decades to a close. The PDM has said a forthright academic and walking encyclopedia. The Honorable Venani further remembers his predecessor as a great political teacher and legislator, and he recalls an iron-willed and gallant leader who played an unmistakable role in shaping the political discourse of his time. The party said the death of the late Honorable Kaura robs the Namibian political sphere of a wealth of experience. The President of the Republic, President Hage Geingob, also extended condolences to the Kaura and Mbwende family following the passing of veteran politician Honorable Katuti Rekaura. The President of the Republic of Namibia, His Excellency Dr. Hage Geingob, extended these condolences, saying that I have learned with sadness about the passing of Honorable Katuti Rekaura during this hour of grief on behalf of the people and government of the Republic of Namibia. The President says he wishes to convey sincere condolences to his wife Vicky Kaura, the children, the Kaura and Bwende families, and the President said, may you find comfort and solace in the Lord, and may the soul of the late Katuti Rekaura rest in eternal peace. That's what we're getting as far as this is concerned. My name is Kelvin, and welcome to the early morning scoop.
Just because a judge finds a person guilty does not mean a person is guilty. Judges have found people guilty and they have won on appeal.
We feel bad because of he's a minister and his reverse parking is bad.
Okay, so the city of Windhoek wants to rename Bismarck Street.
No, I don't think it's okay. It should just remain the same.
Is it the only street that is named after a colonizer, though?
We are talking about young people, why they are not interested to vote.
I really don't think the government had put us its interest, because at least they should come up with awareness why we should vote and things like that.
This is the early morning scoop on Eagle FM.
Eagle FM.
Exactly 8 minutes to go to 7 o'clock. You'll continue to listen to the early morning scoop right here on the station. You can always give us a call right here on the program, and we can also hear from you what you have to say. And of course, we are here until 7 o'clock. And for some community news, we take you back to the Zambezi region with Priscilla Mukokobi. Take a listen.
Miss Priscilla Mukokovi. I'm reporting from Zambezi region, and today I'm with Domingo Armando and also his nephew. They're going to tell us what really happened, what transpired in 1999. So, get it started. What really happened, David? What really happened in 1999?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is David. I'm the nephew for Mr. Armando Domingo Jaime here in the Zambezi region. What happened 1999 to August? I'm speaking on his behalf because he cannot speak. He has a stroke. Yes. So 1999 to August, my uncle Domingo Armando Jaime, he was at his house, at his yard. So at that time there was state of emergency by the NDF police, NDF soldiers. So the NDF soldiers, they came to my uncle's yard. They tried to ask him for identity. So as he was trying to explain that, he's an Angolan national, he don't have an identity. So completely just from nowhere, an NDF soldier fired a bullet into his right leg, just on the elbow here for the right leg. And from there, they tell him he should go to the hospital on his own. From there, Yeah, we had to go to the hospital on his own. So the family, the fellow Angolians, they came and they took him to the hospital. Thank you.
Yeah, can you tell us who was there to witness the shooting apart from him and the NDF?
I think the people were there, there were a lot. There's this other uncle of mine by the name of Martin. I'm not sure if he's still in Namibia here or is in Angola now. And his wife was also there. And me also, at that time, I was also there. And at that time, I was young. I was perhaps maybe 10 or 11 years old, if I'm not mistaken. But the witnesses, they were there.
Okay, did you ask for any help from the government, from the president, from maybe open a case?
The case was opened. That was perhaps maybe 2003 or 2004. So when the case was opened, that time the Namibian police was under the Lieutenant General, Inspector General, who's this one, LP Angola, at that time, 2004. So the case was opened, and when the case was opened, the follow-ups were made. We wrote a letter again to Windhoek. Nothing happened. We wrote a letter to the ombudsman. They promised, okay, they'll look into the matter and they'll come back to us. We had to wait for so many years and years and years. There was no response. We wrote back a letter to the Namibian police. And from there, what the Namibian police said, as I speak to you right now, Priscilla, I have some documents with me that state that it's true. We were in contact with the Namibian government to try and seek help. And the response which the Namibian police said, they assured us a little bit. There was a little bit promising that, okay, they'll look into the matter. You can go to the Zambezi regional commander, then they'll help you, which is led by Inspector Evans Masiku in the Zambezi region here. So we went there, we made all the necessary, all the requirements, whatever that was needed, but still more. They wanted2 so we took about 4 witnesses who were there on the shooting when my uncle was shot on that very day, 2 August 1999. So the 4 witnesses, they gave their statements, they spoke how things happened, everything that happened, they said it. So the police, they said, okay, no, it's fine, we will come back to you, we will update you. After some time again, we had to go to them again because seeing that they don't call us, they don't come to us and they update us that no, that your issue is like this, we are running on this level or on this stage. When we went to them again, they're telling us that the witness which we took to them, they were void, they were ignored. Apparently their testimonies, they were not taken into consideration. I think that's what happened.
So is the Angolan embassy aware of this?
The Angolan embassy is very much aware here in Rundu. Yeah, this small embassy in Rundu. They know him very well. They know his situation very well. But up to date, I don't think there was anything or any Angolan representative coming to Mr. Domingo Jaime here and trying to at least to give help or to try to make a follow-up. Nothing happened. In terms of help, let me go back here to the Zambezi region. We went through the governor to try to get help, but the governor is trying to divert, at least even just for the governor to make a written letter that allows Mr. Jaime at least to go to town council to get at least even free water, because as we speak now, he is not working, he doesn't do anything for a living. His wife left him because of the leg which was cut off. His kids, they ran away, they left him because of the leg which is cut off. So he's just on his own like that. So we tried, as far as with the other Angolians, they used to go to the governor, to town council, at least just
This is Wanda, and you are listening to Unpacking the Day. We do this weekdays, Mondays to Fridays from 8 to 10. Join me on Eagle FM, The Eye.
Fraud safety tip. Fake proof of payments. These scams happen when a fraudster sends you a fake payment confirmation SMS, screenshot, or PDF document to trick you into believing that a payment has been made to your account when it hasn't, so that you release goods to them or refund them for money you never actually received. Always call the bank from which the payment was made to verify if the payment confirmation you received is legitimate. Visit www.pan.org.na today to find out more on how you can protect yourself against fraud.
My name is Kelvin and welcome to the early morning scoop.
Just because the judge finds a person guilty does not mean a person is guilty. Judges have found people guilty and they have won on appeal. We feel bad because of he's a minister and his reverse parking is bad.
Okay, so the city of Windhoek wants to rename Bismarck Street.
No, I don't think it's okay. It should just remain the
Is it the only street that is named after a colonizer though?
We are talking about young people, why they are not interested to vote.
I really don't think the government had put us its interest, because at least they should come up with awareness why we should vote and things like that.
This is the early morning scoop on Eagle FM.
Eagle FM, the Eye.
Exactly a minute after the hour of 7 o'clock, and of course Wanda is now here in the studio, and we do appreciate you. We are live on our Facebook page, which is Eagle FM Namibia, as well as our YouTube channel, Eagle FM Namibia as well. Thank you so much for coming through. We do appreciate you, and good morning to you. Wanda is now here in the studio, of course, to take us into the unpacking of the day. That is the report coming from our Zambezi regional reporter, that is Priscilla Mokokobi, on account of the community news there. Wanda, good morning and welcome to the station.
Kelvin, how are you doing?
Oh, doing very well, man.
Yep.
Something quite different today. Our listeners can see us on our Facebook page.
Unfortunately, yes, they will see us. Even when I'm removing my jacket like this, they will see me.
They will see you.
We used to take comfort in being ugly and not being seen.
And not being seen.
That comfort is actually gone. But we have to make do.
We have to.
Yeah, we are cut out for this.
That's right. What do you make of, do you call that political maturity, Venani coming out to say, despite what happened?
You see, the way I look at things, Kelvin, is very different.
Right.
Very different. But I don't want to say it. But I will say it. Yes, it's maturity one, if depending on where you are standing.
Right.
But again, one can also, if you want to be as silly as I am, there's also what is known as guilty conscience. You feel you have done something to this guy, so you need to be close to them.
All right.
So it's from how you look at it.
How you look at it.
Well, but for us to be on the safe side, and for us to be on good talking terms, then it's political maturity.
Right.
That's what it is.
Very interesting. At the same time, also just to remind you that at 10 o'clock, the Fish Road 6 are back at the High Court. And of course, we'll be giving you the updates from there with our reporters right on the ground. Wanda, have an awesome run.
All right, Kelvin, let me just see you out.
What is your take?
Let all of us sit around the table, discuss our differences, and if we have to agree to disagree, let us agree to disagree. Such is life.
The current situation with the youth at the moment, the bigger part of our youth today is depressed.
The issue is, if the employer doesn't want to listen,